រៀបសួរសូមជម្រាបសួរទស្សនិកជនដែលកំពុងតែតាមដានទស្សនាជួបគ្នាសាជាថ្មីជាមួយនឹងខ្ញុំចិន្តារួមជាមួយនឹងបងទីនៅក្នុងកម្មវិធី Night to Meet You Talk Show ហើយថ្ងៃនេះផងដែរយើងមានវាគ្មិនកិត្តិយសមួយរូបដែលពួកគាត់ចូលមកចែករំលែកនៅប្រធានបទនិយាយអំពីទំនោរនៃស្ថាបត្យកម្មបំរែបំរួលនៃការអភិវឌ្ឍនិងការសាងសង់នៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាដូច្នេះកុំឲ្យខាតពេលវេលាយូរមកជួបគាត់ទាំងអស់គ្នាជម្រាបសួរ
Sochenda, thank you so much and nice to meet you again. Before I hand over to you to ask the first two questions, allow me to introduce our very special guest, Mr. Michel from Archetype. Please, you know yourself best, introduce yourself to the audience and share with them your vast amount of experience in the region.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me to participate at this show. It's a very good honor for me to be here. I arrived in this region 25 years ago, 97, so the past century, the last century.
Just before I was born.
You look so. And then I experienced all in the region, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and China also. I lived in Australia also a little bit, so I could experience being an architect in this region for a while.
Share with us briefly your company, Archetype, where they're based and the scope of work. Yeah.
We started in Cambodia 20 years ago, in 2003 exactly, with a small firm. There were 3 or 4 architects. Now we are almost 80 people in our firm. Not only architects but also engineers and doing project management, construction management, organic growth. Like the country, and try to bring new trends and new technology into the country. That's what we feel.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Sochenda, I believe you have some very interesting question for Mr. Michel.
Yeah. Thank you, Michel, for sharing us your a little bit background. So let me ask you the question to the audience. Share with us your early experience of being an architect. How was the industry evolve and are developer, consumer placing greater importance on the work you and your peer provide?
Very good question. A long question. I studied in France, worked a little bit in Morocco, Portugal. So in fact, I never really designed in France, always designed where I live. And early on, when I was young architect, I moved to Vietnam, so in 97. And actually I did my degree about the conservation of the vernacular architecture in Vietnam. So I studied how the vernacular architecture was made, which materials, and why the shape, why those materials. So I have to study the culture also, the religion, everything, the environment. Because architecture is what translates for human being to live in the environment. So this is always what I've been doing. As an architect, you provide shelter for people first. It's raining, you need to be sheltered. That's the first thing that to do. That's why it's, for me, architecture is a passion. It's not a job, it's a passion. Then you have to look at the society, understand the society, understand how the people live, understand what materials are available, and put that all together. It's like cooking. You go to the market, you buy your vegetable, your meat, and then you have a recipe. I create the recipe. That's what an architect is doing, basically.
Yep. So within the Cambodian landscape, have you seen any building within the city skyline that I would say translate to your work in terms of your peers and how they influence the country? Any particular building that comes to mind that says a lot of work and architectural passion is involved that you could see?
There is one person that who really marked the story of architecture in Cambodia is Van Molivan. Van Molivan, he brought in Cambodia all his experience that he has done in the past in Europe and adapt that to the Cambodian culture. He built a lot for this country. There is still some landmark like the stadium or the buildings like that. So for me, it's it's an example for many architects in this country. It's not automatically the beauty of the building. People can say I like, I don't like, doesn't matter. It's how you adapt for modern living to a society. In Cambodia, like any other countries, you have to understand the evolution of how the people live. 100 years ago, most of the population were farmers. They were living in the fields.
Yeah.
Wild animals everywhere, so you have to build on stilts with a staircase very stiff. So like that they cannot climb.
Yeah.
Or you take out the staircase at night so you can sleep well.
Yeah.
They use wood because that's what they had around them. So human beings always adapt to what they can get and to the use of the building.
Yeah. I'm going to bring back a small conversation that we have about the height of the legs.
Verticality.
Yeah, do you want to explain why it's that height?
Okay. If you look the history of mankind is for the past 2 centuries we start to live vertically and not horizontally anymore. For various reasons. First is demographic. When you look at the population 2 centuries ago and you look at the population today, it's not the same. We have to live in a more sustainable way. And one of the answers is to build vertically to reduce the mobility. So in a way, some people think that building vertical, it's not sustainable. Actually, it is, or it was. It still is. It depends on how you manage the verticality. But it's true that in Cambodia, for example, it's still a very rural country. 80% I think still live in the countryside. So they are used to walk. They're used to live horizontally. And it's now with the density and the population coming into the city to work, to get educated, to enjoy more their life, then we have no choice but to be more dense, and density equal verticality.
Yeah.
So it's a different way of living, for sure.
Sure, no problem. And you find that there's more emphasis now on architectural design and the work that you and your peers do? Do consumers and developers are putting more priorities and values on the work that you and your peers do?
Difficult question to answer. I'm not a developer, I'm an architect. So I take the brief, I try to understand the constraints, and I will do my best to translate that into a livable space for everyone. Developer, they have other interests. My interest is the quality of the space and to provide the people the best quality of space, basically.
Sorry, Sochenda. Please, I can resume with your question. My apologies for jumping in.
That's why I think because Michel has shared a lot of good experience, especially in terms of his past experience in other countries in the architect side. So my question to you is, since you have so many years of experience, and what are the trends that you are seeing now, and what has brought it on?
Oh, good question. Trends change every day. Every day you have new idea, you have new solution, there's new material also coming. For Cambodia, I think the main trend that I see, which was already starting to appear before COVID, but COVID accelerated that trend, is to the connection with the nature. I think people needs to connect a bit better with the nature. So I would like to see, developers who emphasize more in the outdoor space, bigger balcony. Before in Cambodia it's traditional to cook outside. I think it's a good way of living. But now some developers, they don't allow for this kind of tradition. Tradition does not always belong to the past. You can take a tradition and make it to evolve, and I think it's better than trying to be to change completely, drastically the habits of the people. The people don't like that. They don't want to change drastically. They want, people has to basically change progressively the way of living.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the first trend.
But this is the trend that you like to see, or do you see it happening?
I've seen happening. I mean, ODOM project. I mean, specifically on the office part, bring this sky villa. I think it's a very good idea.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see how people inhabitate those space, how it's going to interact with the office. So it's not always an easy exercise, and you understand verticality doesn't help. So you have to ease the way up and down. You have to organize the space a way that you understand what's happening next door to you. But yes, I see some developers who puts a lot of emphasis on that.
Yeah. My question relates to trend as well, specifically to Phnom Penh. Do you see the trend that more and more people will be accustomed or wanting to live in condominiums? And is that driven by necessity because of cost and because of travel distance, or because a condominium such as ODOM is providing more facilities, amenities, and less compromise for those who decide to live in condominiums? What are your thoughts?
I think the good recipe, as we mentioned before, is to mix. Is to have is to build up communities. So if within a development or a project, a single project is difficult, but within a development, you can bring commercial, cultural space also, like theater, library, space where you can interact in your social life. Then shopping, of course, that's essential. So if you combine what you got in a village, basically,
Yeah.
In a village you have houses, you have the temple, you have that. So it's bringing back at the scale of the community.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge. But inevitably, people will have to live more and more in apartments, for sure, because the city becomes bigger. And to avoid spending your time in transportation, obviously you have to start living vertically.
Sure.
If you ask any Cambodian, do you prefer to live in a house or an apartment, they will always say a house, for sure. But it goes to a point where, look in the States, for example, or Melbourne. I think you know Melbourne.
Yeah, I know Melbourne.
I lived in Melbourne for 5 years.
Yes.
Melbourne has how many million inhabitants now?
Off the top of my
1.5,
head.
I think, or something. 1.8.
I think a bit more than that, but
A bit
close
more than
to
that?
it. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're not too far in terms of inhabitants, Phnom Penh and Melbourne.
Yeah.
Melbourne is 100 kilometers radius.
Correct.
So if you live in Baldwin and you have your friends in Footscray, it takes you maybe 2 hours in the car to go and visit. So people don't do it. So that creates ghettos, that creates communities. That's the way the city are working when it's horizontal. And on top of that, there is a segregation between the place where you live and the place where you work. You have the CBD with all the towers, office towers, but people live in the suburbs. So mobility in this kind of cities, it's massive.
Understand.
So in Asia, cities are more dense, much more dense. People have more habits to live close to each other, which is for me a good thing. That's why I like to live in Asia. But yes, you have to deal with this verticality living for sure.
Yeah, understand. Work in the region for about 20 years, and some part of this region, such as Thailand, Vietnam, has progressed, has developed. How have you seen Cambodia develop? Has it followed any specific country or trend, whether it's Thailand, whether it's Vietnam, or any countries within the region?
If I take the example of Phnom Penh, more specifically, I think it's better than either Bangkok or Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City, like the biggest city around Cambodia. For one reason is the infrastructure. The infrastructure goes fast here. To give you an example, I was this week in Ho Chi Minh City. They announced the construction of the third ring road. It's already built. the infrastructure, if the infrastructure goes after the development of the city, is too late.
Okay.
Here the road infrastructure goes at a very good pace, and usually you see the road before you see the development. So that's a good thing because it helps to organize the city in a better way.
Okay.
So it's true for that. After public transportation is still a little bit behind to my point of view. I think they should at least plan the cadastral, you know, to say, okay, here in 20 years we can put a metro line, for example. No need to build it now. I don't think there is a need now, but you need to plan, you know. A city, I'm also an urban designer, and I've done a lot of master plan. And I've done one in North Vietnam 20 years ago, and I still go there and see what was good, what was not good. I didn't make the footpath wide enough, for example. Now I regret that, but it's okay. But there is trees, there is, in terms of mobility is working, in terms of, you have to mix also low rise, high rise, medium rise. It's like a building, you have to mix also.
Sure. Gender, you...
What I'm interested in is when you talk about the distance between working place and living place. So imagine that you have one place like you're working and then your living is next to each other. Would it convenient for the people?
We experienced that during COVID, and everyone think it's terrible. You don't want to wake up in the morning, do 2 meters and start working. You know, you want to separate the time where you concentrate on your work and the time when you concentrate to your family, to your kids, to your husband, to your wife, to your grandfather, to play, to read, to watch TV, whatever you do. The space is different, it has to be different. You cannot mix both, for my understanding. If you mix both, then you have to have a flexible room, a flexible space where you can change few things, and suddenly from a working environment it becomes a living environment. That's maybe a trend in the future, because working from home is getting almost a habit now. It's almost 5 years ago we would not even think about it. Today it's a must. Most of my staff, they ask me one day work from home, which is good. They can spend time with their family, with their kids, but I don't think do the same thing in always in the same room. It's called a prison, and I don't think people like to go to prison. So that's, again, it's a mix. It's a balance between. Human being needs to move. You know, we have 2 legs, and we are built to walk, and we need that. We need to do this exercise. So staying still in one place, we don't like. Human beings don't like that.
Okay. Thanks for the wonderful insight that you shared in terms of trends and your experience. My last question is probably a bit self-serving in terms of promoting ODOM, but you know, somebody has to do it. 2 things that keeps recurring. It's a village, and I say ODOM is a modern village, and also you said vertical community, and I think ODOM is a vertical community. What makes a good vertical community, and what must it has for it to nurture a community, to create a community, and making sure that everything's in harmony, so to speak.
Okay, sense of home. That's difficult because you have to please not everyone, but you have to please the community. So it goes with a variety of space you will find, the variety of services you will find, and then people will inhabitate those ones, and if they feel comfortable, then they will call their place their home. So that's how to create a community, basically. And people need to see also their interest, and they need to be proud of where they live. You know? So it's that's community.
You also mentioned that when you live in a vertical community, you have a disconnect with nature.
Yes.
And I think our Sky Village, that's sort of dotted out there in the rooftop garden, goes into some way of making that reconnection.
Sure, it will help for sure. We live in a concrete environment in the city, so it's always pleasing for the eyes of human beings to see nature, to see to see greeneries, to see birds, to see the living environment. And it also helps the well-being. You know, people are more relaxed usually. People it's more natural.
Natural space. Yeah.
Natural space.
Yeah.
So I think that will help, and the integration of the sky village like that, I think will help to bring the people together. When you want to do a pose, when you work, you go there, you do 1 or 2 floors down, and then you can relax, have a coffee, have a chat with your friends, and after go back to work after half an hour, whatever, you know. So that's good to have this possibility, this alternative in an office environment. That's very good.
I have 2 questions or comments. Do you see more of these mixed-use vertical community popping up throughout, whether it's Phnom Penh or other cities, to solve the density issue? And secondly, as well as being an architect, you have an engineering background. In terms of from an engineering perspective, how do you contribute to make a better building, so to speak? I guess that would be my last question.
Okay. So for me, engineering is serving the architecture, and not the other way around. It's not, the architect does not follow what the engineer has to say. It's the other way around. So the engineering is there to serve the architecture. Building is a long process, and it lasts very long. A building like that will stay in the landscape of Phnom Penh for the next 50, 100 years. So when you do engineering, you have to make it the right decision. Okay, that's the first thing. Similar for the cooling system, the water system, the quality of air, quality. So all of that is a quality of services you provide to the space that the architect has created. So basically, it's a service to the building. So there is the structural integrity, and after there is the service. So that's the engineering of the part. We archetype, or the engineers for this project, and we are proud of that. So that's how our philosophy of seeing doing the engineering for this building is to serve with the best equipment possible for all this quality of space.
So have you engineered our building to last over 100 years?
Not everything. The structure you have to. You don't want the structure to collapse for sure.
Right.
But after there is, you have to make sure that whatever system you provide is flexible, can be changed in 10 years, or can be easy to maintain. And also consumption. You know, now we're discovering that we are a lot on this planet, and the water start to be limited. That's a big issue to tackle. So how to save water? So there is many devices that exist, and you can put a push button for your tap instead of one that you screw up. So you can forget to close it. There's plenty of devices like that. Now there is a pressurization system that minimize the diameter of the pipe. I mean, we constantly evolve to have a better engineering system. So it's for us to provide you with the best value for money system, and make sure that in 20 years you can replace to a new one. That's the...
Yeah, certainly I can feel your experience and your passion, and we're glad that Archetype is part of the team to build Phnom Penh's newest landmark. So we are thankful of that. So I think we're out of time. How about you?
You had a question about the...
Yes. I think Michel have covered a very good topic, especially linked to our project, and especially so excited to be part of ODOM as well. With the best mixed use in Phnom Penh, and especially the location is one of our best factor. Easy from home and then to office, just a few minutes, and then go down for the commercial, which save a lot of time.
Perfect.
All right, as always, audience, thank you so much for your time. As I mentioned previously, if you find the information helpful and useful, please tell your friends and family, and tell them about Cambodia. Cambodia is a fantastic country to come to live. Lots of beautiful people, such as Michel Cassagnes. and myself.
And you.
So please like and share. And once again, nice to meet you and thank you and have a beautiful day. Thank you.
Thank you